fine.
It's adrenaline.
Are we rolling? Yeah. All right. I know you're super nervous, but there's no need to be nervous because none of us have a clue what we're actually doing. But, dude, welcome to the show. It's your first podcast. Why don't you give me a little introduction of yourself, and we'll just start from there.
I'm nervous. Anyways, my name's Cami. Thank you.
Messed up.
I know. Crap, this is going to be you have to remind me the whole time.
We're good.
All right, so born and raised in Idaho. I've been here most of my life. Joined the military right out of high school. Didn't want to go to college. Parents weren't paying for it. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it was always one of those things like worst case scenario, I'm going to go to the military. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, this doesn't seem that bad. So joined the military, was in it for about 6 years.
What branch?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yep. So I was stationed we went to San Antonio, Texas for boot camp, tech school.
Okay.
And then was stationed in Guam, and then Arizona and did some.
What was your MOS in the Air Force?
I was cop.
You're an MP?
I am.
Oh my God, that explains so much.
It probably does, honestly.
It's all coming together now. So you were an MP, you're one of them. I got pulled over by an MP Air Force in Al Asad in Iraq. Dang. And we just did a podcast with a guy that his very first mission they were ever running, he got pulled over. It was pretty hilarious. So so I have a question that like runs through my mind that I never ask when I talk to any female that was in the military of what the hell possessed you to join the military as a woman. I think it's a crazy world, especially Marine. Like female Marines blow my mind. It's the fact that
I'm sure.
The fact that some woman's like, I want to be a Marine, like that to me. But as far as like Air Force and military, like what led you to join the military? Obviously college wasn't your thing. So
I played sports all throughout high school, and that was kind of, I feel like everybody's goal when they play sports in high school is to just, go play in college. And so that was kind of the goal. But the more I played and the more serious I took it, the less, I don't know, I wanted to play, like my heart was in it, I guess, if you could say that. So it was always one of those things that was in the back of my mind, like, well, if worst case scenario, like I'm going to join the military. I knew my parents were going to pay for college. I wanted sports for scholarships, but I toured schools and it just wasn't. I was like, this does not sound fun. Like I don't really want to, my parents aren't going to pay for my college. So what am I going to do? Be a broke college kid playing sports like that? I want money. I want to go do things. Yep. I want to
see the world.
Travel. Yeah, that was the main thing. Was I wanted to see the world, and how can I do that? Because I'm not about to go, $50,000 in debt for. And I had no clue what I wanted to do, at all.
So in the military or just in general?
In general, in college. Okay. So I was like, why am I going to go drop all this money like to do extra school? Like this does not sound fun. So it was kind of nobody in my family is really military. I've got one cousin who is, but he's guard. Got it. So I didn't really even know a lot about it. And so I just kind of went in and talked to the recruiters and was like...
Did you go all the branches or was it the Air Force was your only one?
I had some friends of friends that had military in there, and everybody was kind of like, hey, go Air Force if you're going to go anything.
For sure.
So...
smart decision. I tell everybody Air Force.
Honestly, people make fun of me, and I'm like, we get paid the same, and I'm doing less work.
No, a Marine will never admit it. Ever admit it. We are so jealous of the Air Force. Yeah, Chair Force all day.
Right, who's getting paid the same?
100%.
And I get vacation.
Same benefits, same everything, exactly. And you don't do anything that remotely the bullshit that we got to deal with. So I get it. So when you were joining the Air Force and you finally made that decision, like, okay, Air Force is it. It's honestly, it's the best decision out of any branch. Did you know you wanted to go MP or did you go open contract? Like what made you go want to be a cop in the military?
I wanted to be a cop. I guess it's probably the brochures that they'll have. They're like doing the cool stuff, probably like the Ravens.
What's a Raven?
A Raven is, they do a lot of like POTUS missions, so President of the United States, all like the cool missions.
Got it.
So obviously they post the coolest shots on the brochures, like the guys in the RV or in the ATVs and riding horses and on the boats. And I'm like, I want to do that shit. Okay. Like that just sounds
good old recruiter. Like,
gotcha. And so I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I always kind of liked law enforcement in general, like even just growing up, like criminal shows. Okay. So I guess that's kind of where it led to that. And then from there, the recruiter obviously just kind of sells you on it. Yeah. My recruiter I actually had a pretty good relationship with. And she was very honest, but I was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to go be a cop. Like, even if I have to work the gate for a couple of years or work patrol, like eventually I want to work my way up and do hopefully some cool shit. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where it kind of all stemmed from.
And so once you get in, so you go to boot camp, and I mean, how's Air Force boot camp? Because I'm only I can only ever reference Marine boot camp, which I'm
it's
sure
not
our
as bad.
experiences are not the same.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear. I mean, you guys just wake up with like your own alarm and
No, definitely not.
like somebody's like
So,
shaking your bed. Like
the
hey,
people
time to
that
get
go
up.
now, they actually have. This is gonna sound so stupid. There's a place in boot camp called Disneyland, and that's like the nice dorms. I didn't stay in those ones. I stayed in the older ones.
Okay.
But the fact that there's a place called Disneyland because it's super nice dorms, I'm sure they had a great time. It's just funny, but. So I was in the old dorms. I mean, it was typical alarms going off at 5 o'clock in the morning, rushing down, and honestly, I can't even find the terms for it anymore. Singing your song,
The cadences
and
and all that,
that stuff. So, it's crazy how that you're not in it. Things just you start to forget the words and everything.
The terms and acronyms, and there's so much of that.
So a lot of cadence and just drill practice, and then going and sitting in classes like Air Force history and just learning that stuff.
Do you guys have male and female, or is it separated?
So it's separated, but you would have like sister or brother flight. So we would do everything with our brother flight, but we wouldn't stay in the same place.
Okay.
But we'd all go to the same class together. We'd all have drill practice at the same time.
Got it.
So we had like a brother flight, and then it was all girls in mine. But my 2 drill sergeants were both males.
Okay.
So.
And that was probably interesting, just as a child going straight to boot camp and then getting your ass chewed, and everything changes overnight so quick.
It was definitely different, but I feel like I prepared for it pretty well. Looking back, I feel like I knew it was kind of a game that I just had to play. And it took me a couple times to figure that out because I'm a pretty sarcastic person.
Yeah.
And I think my drill sergeants kind of started to pick up on that, so I'd get in trouble for like laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you laughing in boot camp? I'm like, oh, it's not that serious.
Yeah, right.
But I learned how to play the game, so I don't feel like it was as bad. I just got in trouble a lot for my mouth, like just saying stupid shit and laughing and.
Same. I could never. I'm like, when it came to bearing, I had absolutely. I would stare at my drill instructors like we had this little one, This guy was like 4 feet tall, max 4 feet. Drill instructor Staff Sergeant Barnes. I'll never forget. He had these little black.
Mine was Bristol, I think.
Bristol. See, it's one of those things that's ingrained. It's ingrained in you.
He was like a dick, but then he started to lighten up once we got to know
role,
him, and I'm like, all right, you're not that bad. You're
That's
just
their
like
role.
Kind of a dick at first, but like I get it now.
It's 100% a game where they just absolutely destroy your life, and then they play like good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're gonna give you guys an
We're gonna
extra
let you listen
minute
to
at
music
chat.
in the morning when you clean. I was like, oh, what?
I knew it. See, you guys have to listen to music.
We
Ours
did.
was just Marine Corps hymns
Only
blasting.
during the last end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was like Selena Gomez playing.
Oh,
Actually,
what year did you join?
2016.
Oh my
end of
God,
2016.
you're a baby.
Yeah, December 6th, 2016 is when I joined.
So, at a boot camp, you go straight to training, right? Your MP training?
After boot camp, yeah. So we went. Our boot camp was, and my tech school was in San Antonio. They were like right next to each other. So we would just pack
that's
our stuff
nice.
and walk right over, and it was all there. Yeah. So we didn't have to move like
God,
a ton.
That's nice.
It is, but it isn't because your eyes are all on you. You're the cops. You're on the main Air Force base where boot camp is. So people know you're in tech school. So people are kind of watching you.
You can't slip.
You can't screw up. No. So that was like the hard part of it, but
because you're under a magnifying glass. You're at the flagpole. I mean,
100%.
Everybody's got eyes on you.
Where I lived wasn't bad. Like the dorms I did, because I was always in the old dorms, so all the new ones or all the tech sergeants or whatever they are, the drill sergeants were at the new building, so we got away with a little bit more. But
okay. So how long's that school?
3 months.
And you're just going over all Air Force regulations, laws, everything. It's just like becoming a cop then.
Yeah, pretty much just a lot of like scenario situations. Like you go through weeks and different types of trainings. Like if a domestic violence, you walked into a house, like it's like role playing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like tech school is so much role playing, and then also learning the history of it.
Got it. So you go through school, and then you get your first duty station, which was Guam. Where'd you go first?
My first orders I got was Buckley in Colorado, but we can switch in tech school because you have the same certifications as everybody in your class. You have the same time. So if you wanted to switch with anybody, you could.
Wait.
Orders. Yeah.
Wait. So you could just go to somebody else and be like, hey, what did you get?
And they're like, let's switch. Yeah.
Oh my God. This is why you guys have such a reputation. Ours is the needs of the core. That's all you're told. Sorry, Marine, needs of the core, and it's like you're gone.
Yeah, that's the only time you can switch. Any other time it's hard because people have different certifications and whatnot. But out of tech school, you can switch with anybody. So
that's wild.
I got a burp.
Go ahead, do your thing.
That probably happened a lot.
All good.
Anyways, so this guy, his name is Austin Cherry. He had a girlfriend or fiance in Arizona, and he got orders to Guam. And he was like, I don't really want to go. I want to be close to my girlfriend. We're trying to start a family. And I sat back and forth with it for a while because my aunt lived in Denver, and it's right there. And so I was like, well, I'd be really close to family that I normally don't get to see a lot, or I could go to this place, Guam, that I've never even heard of. And I was like, fuck it, let's switch.
Really?
So I just switched orders, and then I got sent to Guam.
What is Guam like?
It's like Hawaii, but more third world country.
I can feel that, yeah.
So the way I explain it to people is Hawaii is the U.S.'s island, where Guam is like Japan's island. So you get a lot of Asians and those type of people over there.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just military. It's a huge military island. They've got Navy. Now they have Marines there, Air Force, and Army.
Because Guam, historical-wise, is a very strategic play.
Yeah.
Out in...
It's in like the middle of the Pacific.
So I mean, it's a holdover for a lot of countries, either direction. So I mean,
and just a good fueling spot. That's really what they're known for. It's like a good stop in the middle of the Pacific and go. So.
And so you're just trapped on an island. For how long were you there for?
2 years.
2 years. Like, I'm sure that gets small real quick.
Yeah, it does. Looking back at it now, I wish I did more on the island in terms of like hiking.
Well, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, isn't there like amazing snorkeling, skydiving?
Oh, I did a lot of that.
Scuba diving and all that?
I went skydiving, and I got my scuba dive license. So I did a bunch of like old shipwrecks, like World War II.
What's that like?
Those are the pictures I should have sent you.
You still can, yeah. What's that? Yeah. I mean, you're diving in shipwrecks from
like
World War II?
Yeah, so you're down there, and there's like flags and stuff, and just like old ships. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So and like old tankers and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so that's the cool part.
What's the non-cool part?
The mosquitoes there suck.
Really?
Oh my gosh, that's why I didn't want to go on any hikes.
Oh yeah,
I would get eaten alive. And so I just didn't do anything. I was like, I don't want to go. And the hikes suck too because you go downhill first and then uphill.
You're coming up
and you're already tired. Like after you go downhill, because you usually go down and like swim into a cove or you're out in the sun and then you're tired and then you have to
hike your ass all the way back up. Okay.
There's some cool hikes I wish I would have done. And then other than that, it just can get pretty dirty. Oh, and there's so many dogs. They're called boonie dogs. It's like stray cats here.
Really?
Like they're everywhere.
Do they eat them there?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
You're getting some weird restaurant meat.
Yeah, it might be. Food was good there. The waters were awesome. It definitely made me like love the ocean for sure.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of dirty. Like there was one strip that was like Louis Vuitton and Rolex and like all these like bougie ass stores. But then as soon as you leave that strip, that 1 mile strip,
third
it's
world.
like just lots of trash and. I don't know, it's an island, you know what I mean? There's only so much you can do and
get rid of shit, yeah, for sure. So Guam for 2 years, and then you come back to the States, right?
Yep. Well, actually, yeah, so Guam, and then I got to Arizona. Yeah. When I was in Guam, I did a deployment to Vietnam.
How was that? Vietnam's pretty cool.
It was good. So I actually got selected to go on a POTUS mission. So when
Which is
Trump,
protecting...
President of the United States.
Yep.
POTUS. So when Trump was doing his summit in China in like 2017, 2018, something like that, I got selected to fly over there and then guard his plane while he was gone. So that's another picture I should have seen. I don't know why I didn't think of these.
Now that you're like rehashing all this stuff,
what pictures? I'm like, dude, I don't have any.
And you're like, I have so many pictures. So you got to go over there and do a little mission for Trump.
Yeah, and we got to hang out. I mean, again, we stayed in a pretty decent hotel.
Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have been camped on the airstrip.
We only worked like 3 or 4 days out of like the 10 or 12 days we were there. So we got to go and like explore and.
You had a completely different military experience than I did.
I had an awesome one. I'm not gonna lie. I would have stayed in 20, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
A little bit later.
Let's get into it. Oh wait, we'll finish this up. I want to get into it.
So, that made me love travel. I was traveling to Vietnam. It was like just dope. And then Arizona. Yeah, Arizona. And then out of Arizona, I deployed to Qatar. Oh. Qatar was awesome.
Really?
I would stay there. I asked to extend and they denied me. That place was cake.
You're the first person I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh, that was the best deployment. I had pretty much a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday.
Okay.
I had my own car. I didn't have a roommate, so it was just me.
Did you have a badass gym there at least?
Yes, the gym
was
great.
In the fitness
we had
world
2
then?
gyms. Yes, so that's what kind of like sparked it more.
Because there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I like got into the gym like crazy, and there was a pro bodybuilder. That's one of my friends that was deployed there at the same time, and so we talked about it. And they had an awesome pool, and so I was off on Saturdays and Sundays, and I would just go chill at the pool on my weekends and walk and eat and go to the gym.
Oh my God.
Sand volleyball courts and like just all sorts of stuff. It was great. I loved it.
I totally should have joined
And I made stupid money.
Doing nothing.
Doing absolutely nothing.
And how long you were there?
6 months.
Oh, that's not long enough.
And I asked to extend, and they're like, no. And I was like, there's people that are coming right now that don't want to come. Just switch it. And they're like, no.
That's what blows my mind about the military. Like, why? I mean, I guess it would be a logistical nightmare to have to like take everybody's bitches and complaints and like transfers. But like, if you came to them and were like, hey, legit, this dude wants to go to Lejeune. I want to stay on Pendleton.
Yeah, why not?
Needs of the Corps. Like that, you know.
Stupid.
It's like, why don't, like, oh, okay, no problem. Like, let's just switch your names on these orders. Like, I'm sure there's way more to it than that, but that's what always blew my mind. Like, why?
I didn't understand it either.
You want morale, and everyone's like, oh, we need morale. We need to raise morale. It's like, let me not go to the shithole that I want to go to, and this private that has single, like, ship his ass there. So, no.
That's what it was. It was a family, too. And he's like, I don't want to go. And I was like, I will try so hard to stay.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
So 6 months, that blew by pretty quick, I'm sure.
Yeah, it did. I loved it, though.
It was only 6 months.
It's
such a that's your style, huh?
I don't know. I like it, but it was just chill. I hung out on the weekend and tanned at the pool.
God,
I'm jacked.
Oh my God. So you're there, then you get orders back to the States, right?
Yep.
And then are you getting out at this point, or we're?
Yes, this is what we're gonna get into.
Yes,
The unexpectedness.
Okay.
COVID happened. But, well, actually, I came back. Let me rewind. Came back and got an investigations jobs. Best job ever. I had
Doing what?
We dealt with a lot of misdemeanors. Anybody who tested positive on drugs.
These are all active duty guys.
Yep, so active
What was
duty.
the most common that they were popping on?
Weed.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was spice a
weed.
thing then? Because right when I was getting out, spice
we had
was
some
like
coke and like some guys on meth.
really.
Yeah. So that and then like child abuses or domestic violence were like probably the biggest things. So
And you're just an investigator at this point.
yeah, and I loved it. The office I had is the best crew. Like they're some of my good friends today. Like I talk to them all the time. But it was just I was the only female, and there was 4 other guys.
Okay.
And that was it. And we just did some paperwork and interviewed people, and I learned a lot in that. And then COVID happened.
And then what happened? Is this the lead up to why you got out?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear this.
So COVID came down, and everybody was required to get the shot. Or first it was you could get it if you wanted to.
This is crazy. So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I have yet to talk to anybody that was in during this time. So this is fascinating to me because like my whole this was not, I mean, obviously. So you're fresh out. I mean, you've only been out
a year and a half.
Damn. Okay.
Maybe
so
2.
COVID hits, you're
Coming up on 2
required.
years.
You're required to get the vaccine.
Yeah. So we weren't required at first, but then eventually, I obviously just put it off, and then you were required, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for
And
you.
so they're like, well, you can apply for a religious waiver or a medical waiver, but the medical waivers aren't getting
denied.
approved.
Yeah.
So you might as well just try for the original or the religious. And so I went that route. I wrote a awesome letter explaining, why it's against my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I submitted it. This is the shitty part is that I submitted it and they came back about a month later and put a whole rule that says, if you're not going to get the shot, you're going to get kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter if you had a religious waiver, if it was in the process. So my 2 options were to get out now and take an honorable, because my commander at the time, my leadership did help me, so that was good. But so they said you can get out now and take an honorable, or you can wait to see if your religious exemption gets approved. If it does, that's fine, but you're not going to be able to re-enlist in about 6 months.
Oh, so it was a waste of time anyways.
Or you can wait, and if it gets denied, you're going to get kicked out with no benefits. And so my options were to wait, like take a chance and stay in, or maybe lose my benefits, or just get out now and get all my benefits.
That's wild. So you didn't have any choice. You mean you had to get out?
Yeah.
Because if you couldn't re-enlist.
I had like 1 week to decide. So like they told me to apply for this religious exemption, which I did. Like I'm following their process to do the right things, right? And then they come down and they're like, screw your religious waiver. You need to decide. And they sent it to me like the end of October, and I had to decide by November 1st. It was literally a week. And I planned on doing 20. Like
really? You were going to life it?
I was going to do it. I mean,
sucks.
The military, I feel like it makes you grow up fast, and then you get stagnant. You get dependent on it. And like, why would you leave that? You know what I mean? I could retire at 38, collect a paycheck, like, and then go
all my
have a
buddies
whole
are
nother
retiring
career.
right now. Every guy that I served with that stayed in there, and I was just talking to the wife the other day about it, and she was like, do you think you should have stayed, like you'd be retired right now? I was like, fuck no. Like, I am so glad I got out. I'm so happy
on the outside.
So, because I look at them and I'm like, their relationship, I'm not saying all of them, and this isn't to my buddies, but just guys in general, their relationships with their kids are struggle, with their wives if they
I would not be the person I am today if I was in.
Fuck no.
Oh no.
Hell no. I would be
so different.
Like I can say it now, like when I got out, and then up until pretty much a couple of years ago, I was a huge piece of shit. You know, like I carried so much and not a happy person. And, you know, and just from that short time, I could not imagine doing 20, and especially in like our job field, it was just horrible. And so it was the best thing I've ever, it's scary getting out of the military.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I prayed about it a lot, that's good. Honestly, and I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to my family, and they're very against it too. Just, COVID and all that bullshit anyways.
Yeah. So they had your back on it.
Yeah. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're going to help you, whatever that means. If you need you're always going to have a roof over your head, and you're going to have food in your stomach.
See, and not everybody has that option. And I mean, how many guys got forced out of all the guys and girls got forced out of all the branches because of this?
I think also people like have a hard time sticking up for themselves in the military. And like, I'm a very hard headed, like I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And if you don't like that, like, even if you're like, I've been pulled into my commander's office because he's like, why did you do this? I'm like, I'm not going to be the one to just not say anything.
That's how I always was.
If it gets me in trouble, like it gets me in trouble, but at least I know that I'm standing up for like what I think is right.
And I got my point across.
Yeah. So.
Man, the ass chewings I took for my dudes, like fuck this. I'm going to say something. They're like, don't say anything. I'm like, fuck this. I'm saying something. This is messed up. Like, why do we got to go?
Got me in trouble a lot. But at the end of the day, I was like, whatever.
I feel you. So they give you a week. Your whole life is turned upside down in a week, because you went from I'm in a career in the military to now take the shot or you're done.
To get out. Yeah.
To get out. And so obviously you made the choice to get out.
Yep.
And how did that go? Once your command, were they cool with it, or
they supported me on whatever I wanted to do. And they said, for some reason, if they don't give you an honorable, like, we'll push for you to get an honorable. They were pretty pissed, actually, because they're like, they gave you the option to do this religious waiver. They should at least wait it out, make a decision on that, and then you can decide. But it's like they didn't even let me do that.
Do you look back on it now and just be like, you motherfuckers? Like,
yeah.
Or are you like, okay, it was a blessing?
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
But I also played the system so well because I'm at 100% disability now that I was like, and I'm making more money now than what I was before. So part of me is like, screw all of you. And then I'm like, well, it's kind of a blessing in disguise just because of where I'm at today in life and relationship-wise, who I am. Yeah. And just in general, so.
Yeah, for 100%. Yeah. So you get out and you come straight back to Idaho?
No, so I met Ricky.
Oh, you met Ricky while you were in or fresh out?
While we were both in the process of getting out.
I didn't know he's a vet too.
Yeah, he did 10 years. So,
okay, we got to have him on.
His is not as interesting as mine. He'll
all
tell
right.
you that.
Yeah, he's a pretty laid back dude.
He went to Arizona and Missouri, and that's like all he did. He didn't do any deployments or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's got some fun stories. But so I was into bodybuilding.
Okay.
I already did my first show, and then I got into expediting, which is the person on stage that like tells you where to go.
Okay.
Into judging. And so I was working a show that he had a client at. Okay. And then we kind of met there, and then he slid into the DMs, and we started talking.
No shit.
Yeah. Right. And then from there, I was like, oh, I'm in the military. I'm in the process of getting out. And he's like, I'm in the military, and I'm in the process of getting out. So as soon as I got out, I moved up with him in Phoenix because that's where he was. And I was in Tucson.
Got it.
So that's how we stayed there. And then we eventually moved up here because we're like, Arizona sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
There's just too much history. We're both in the military here, and it's too hot.
A new start, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to get into, you're into some crazy shit.
Something I feel like. I'm gonna say it's that crazy.
It's fucking crazy to me because
it's taboo, and that's what makes it crazy.
Either way.
Yeah.
I have so many questions about this. I don't even know where to start. So, in the world of veterans, like obviously with me having our organization, we deal with a lot of trauma, PTSD, TBIs. I mean, even guys and girls that just trauma in general, sexual trauma, abusive trauma, violence, all that kind of stuff. And we get approached quite often about going different routes to help guys and girls unlock demons, history, trauma, things like that. And so this is why I wanted to have you on.
I like this conversation.
This is why I want to have you on, because you obviously are into the psychedelics. Is that what we would categorize it as?
Okay. I would categorize it all, yeah.
Where did you even fucking start with this? Because for me personally, it scares me because if I'm not in my own control state of mind, that's what I don't. I want to be any situation. I want to be able to handle it. And so even if I'm by myself, I want to know, like, okay, I can get out of this situation. So this is the only reason I have not taken this step. And my wife absolutely is against it, which every time I bring it up, she's like, no,
There's different levels to it.
For sure. And so this is what I want to get into. So how did you get into the psychedelics? And then I want to get into how it's helped you. But let's start with shrooms. Let's start with mushrooms. I mean, that's probably at least on your level after.
So.
What did you try first? What did you get into first and why?
The first thing I tried was MDMA or Molly or ecstasy. Yep. It's kind of all categorized into the same thing. And I had some friends at the time that were into raving. Okay. And this was when I was still in the military. Yeah. So they wanted to go to a rave and they were taking Molly, and I was like, I want some. I was 20 years old or 21. I was like, I want some. And so I split a half of one, which wasn't crazy. I wouldn't say that was like my first experience. Okay. But it was a good time, and I was like, all right, this is cool. And then a couple years went by. I was still in the military, didn't think much about it. But after the military tells you no for so long, it's kind of one of those things like, I just want to try this stuff. So I'm trying to think what I tried first. It was either Molly or, I guess Molly. And then I started getting into mushrooms or shrooms. Okay. I think it was just through mutual friends and people posting about it on social media that saying like microdosing can really help you. Mm-hmm. Which there's like be a little bit happier throughout the day. And so I think if I remember correctly, that's what I started into was microdosing shrooms. Okay.
And how did that help you, or did it help you?
Yeah, I would say it did. It's not like an everyday thing. You do it like a couple times a week, but it's just like 0.25 grams in a little capsule, and you take that. And I just felt like my mood was a little bit better throughout the day. I was a little bit more talkative. But that's all it really was. It was kind of just like a pick-me-up. Like, all right, like nothing can really ruin my mood today. Like, I'm just in a good mood. Okay. So that's kind of where I started with it. And I did that for a while. And then I'm trying to think. After that, I think I just started smoking weed. Excuse me.
There you can.
Started smoking weed, and then I got into ketamine first.
Okay, this is what I want to get into. This scares the shit out of me. Like the fact that you're just talking about it, so nonchalantly, like ketamine. How the fuck did you get into ketamine?
Honestly, it's just hanging around. I wouldn't even say the wrong people, because the people that we were around were actually very responsible about it, and. Sounds terrible. Yeah, right. Like it wasn't some people like the typical movie you see them all passed out on the couch just like being crazy.
See, that's not what it was. That's how I like when somebody's like, oh, like I'm totally cool with ketamine. You're just like, damn, dude, you're hard. Like that's
so
wild.
So ketamine is like a horse tranquilizer, and it's used in anesthetics or anesthesia. So it's kind of that feeling of that state of you like falling asleep almost, and you're kind of in that floaty feeling. So it's just hanging around our friends that were into raving, and they were, doing some ketamine or mushrooms or acid or Molly. And that's when we just kind of started dipping into it, was with other people. So I realized that the mushrooms kind of started to help me. Okay. And then the ketamine, I don't know, we kind of just did it one night.
Fuck it, I'm going to do ketamine.
And I was like, wow, this guy feels kind of nice. I just feel kind of happy. Okay. And so, as I started to do it more, the more I started to research and like, what are the benefits of it and how can it help me? And I think really any drug in general, it can be beneficial used correctly. Okay. Just like narcotics, you know what I mean? They can be used good, but then if you abuse it, then that's where it gets, tricky or bad, or you can go down a bad slope. So I started to realize that it was, kind of made me happy. So Ricky and I kind of just did it on the weekends. We're like, this is our going out. We're just gonna hang out at the couch, watch a movie, and
drop some ketamine.
It's like Coke, honestly. Like I'm out at the club and I'm gonna do some Coke to wake me up. kind of thing. I feel like that's the same. This is terrible.
No, I'm all for this because I am so fascinated. Because not every day I can just sit and talk to somebody about taking ketamine or acid or anything else. And so
we started. We'll get to the ketamine therapy last because that's like the very last of it. Yes. So after we've just dabbled a little bit into it, then we, took some Molly one night at the house, and Ricky and I just felt like it really connected us.
Okay.
We were just able to talk a lot more about things that we wouldn't normally talk about. Okay. And that kind of goes into with how it's helped you kind of stuff that we'll get into. But so we tried Molly and it was fun. And then we just decided to go to a rave together and popped a Molly and had a great time. And then that turned into acid. We tried that, was just trying a little bit at a time to see. It was good. I can't say that I've had like a full trip on one. I've only done just a little bit, and I mean, it's good. Like, the colors are definitely vibrant. I didn't take enough where, you hear the people that talk about, like, the paint is dripping, and stuff like that. It wasn't that intense. I've never gone that point with LSD, but shrooms I have.
Have you? Yes. Let me hear this.
Ricky and I were just sitting at the house one time and decided to take some shrooms for my birthday, and we just took a little bit more than what we should have.
Are these capsules, or are you just like weighing?
No, I just ate shrooms. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody that I've talked to, I'm sure they're like, don't ever just just.
Well, we weighed them out.
Okay.
We weighed them out, so like I kind of know like a 4 gram is a lot, and so we did I think like 2 grams, but we soaked them in lemon juice.
Okay.
And lemon juice is supposed to help the process speed up.
Oh no.
And I knew it was going to amplify it a little bit, but it amplified it a lot more than I expected it to. And it wasn't bad. Like, nothing bad happened, but it just got to that point where you started to kind of get into your own head. Like, if something were to happen, would I be able to help myself?
See, this is my
And I
fear.
couldn't answer it. It wasn't like I could, or it wasn't like I couldn't. I was just like, I don't even know if I can dictate what is good and bad right now. So we kind of drew it at that line. Like, this is a little too much for us, just because we're starting to, if someone was there with me, like a trip sitter is what they call it. Like, you're sober, and I take the mushrooms, and if I trust you, then like you would be like, hey, Cami, you're good. And I'll be like, all right, I can relax, I'm good. But you just start to get into your own head if you take a ton. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like, I just remember sitting on the couch and was like, damn, this is a good ass birthday. Like, I was just happy. Like, I was just happy.
So at least you're doing it, I don't want to say responsibly, because ketamine to me is just wild. But, I mean, you're weighing it out, and you're not just like...
There was this meme on Instagram or Facebook or something, and it was like, thank you to my parents who fucked me up a little bit to try drugs, but not fucked up enough to get, like, addicted to them and drugs? Abuse them.
Okay.
Because I feel like I do use it very, very responsibly. And that's, like, how I don't ever want to push it to the point where I have to second guess myself or question anything. Like, that's not cool to me. It freaks me out. So I think using it like a little bit here and there is.
It's so you've obviously experienced, I mean, you're into the rave scene. I mean, I don't know if you're into it, but I mean, I've seen it. I am. Yeah. So, which
I'm pretty passionate about it.
I went through a phase. I think I was still a young Marine when I was still in that phase, but it's been a long time. But after you've gone through, you've tried, and it enhances everything. And obviously you're figuring out what you like and don't like. This is when we got connected, because Zach was like, yo, you got to talk to this chick. She just won this prize to go on like this ketamine trip. That I want to hear about that, because so you went to, have you ever done ayahuasca? Have you done that?
I haven't. So it's a little bit different. I feel like ayahuasca and like a full mushroom trip or stuff like that, you like go to a camp for like a week, and then
because you hear some fucked up shit that comes out of that.
I have heard some. I don't think I would ever do that. I've heard people come back and it like fries their brain and they're a whole new person, which I don't think creating like a whole new person is good, but maybe help rewiring some different things or looking at things from a different perspective can be good. But I would never push it to the point to do like a full mushroom trip or like a couple of days. You know what I mean? Like an ayahuasca trip where you're gone. Like, I'm good with a couple hours.
Because I hear that the kicking it afterward, like the coming off of it is horrible.
Really? I haven't looked too much into it, honestly.
Yeah, they're saying like I have a client that he's big into it. He goes like once a year, and he's like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, you shit yourself. You're just explosive diarrhea and vomiting for like 2 days after I come off of ayahuasca. I'm like, like I got some pretty fucked up trauma that I'm willing, and I'm at the stage in my life that like I'm willing to face, and I want to clear it off my plate so I can move on. But like, I don't know if like, because like every time I've talked to some people, they're like, oh yeah, like coming off was horrible, and I'm just like, like I'm good. So You went to a camp though, right?
No, I didn't go to a camp. So it's just a like medical center, I guess you could call it, in Arizona called Day Trip. And they do, I think they do mushrooms, or they're getting into it, but right now their main thing is ketamine. And so they were looking for some like ambassadors or sponsors that, you know, if you go, can you post about it on social media? Okay. And I was like, yeah, I knew some friends that were doing it already, and they reached out to me. Shout out to Lauren Bear. But she reached out to me and was like, hey, like, I know you've talked about doing something like this. They're looking for some more ambassadors. You know, do you want to be a part of this? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I wanted to just dive into a little bit deeper. And so it was a 3-time package where it's just it's only a couple hours long. So I'd fly down there and then it's like a trip sitter. They're watching, they're going to inject you with ketamine and just make sure you're good.
And this is legal?
Yeah.
This is
the doctor is giving it to you.
Wild to me. Okay, so they're giving you
in Arizona. So they inject you with ketamine, and they pretty much they monitor your heart rate, your oxygen, and stuff like that to make sure you're good.
That you don't die on them.
Yeah, and the way that I would explain it, so I actually go back to my last session on Tuesday, in 2 days. So I go back to my third session because I've already done one, and then
what was it like? I mean, so you go down there. What is the point of this? I mean, are you just going and you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to enjoy this?
I realized with my use of psychedelics, I've started to notice how I've done a lot of internal therapy while I've done it. So like I'll, take some Molly or take a little bit of shrooms or acid, whatever it is. And I feel like it's just able to help me open up in my own mind. Like I can unlock old memories and kind of work through them myself. Or forgive people, or just understand that like life does happen and shitty things happen, and you kind of get to dive into those old memories and kind of shut those doors.
Okay, I want to dive into this more because that's where I have so much interest, because we talk and I work with so many guys that are just some of the worst dudes that we work with are guys that have like survivor's remorse. Watching their best friends die or get blown up in front of them, things like that, and you can go through all the therapy. You can talk to these VA doctors that don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. And, you just bottle it up, which I think most of us do. And then it just weighs on you, which is, one of my problems. Like I bottle everything. It's one of the things the wife hates the most. She knows, like, what are you bottling? Like, let's work through, And so, cause it eventually boils over, and then it affects your family, your kids, your work, all that shit. And so this is something that like, I'm super curious about, because we work with so many men and women that have trauma. And so it's like, I want them to be able to face their demons or face the trauma or childhood experiences and things like that. But it's like, I don't even know where to start with these guys, because it scares the shit out of me. I have no experience with it. So that's why I was so curious. Like, I want to hear about this clinic or your day trip, and if how much it helped you, or if it is actually helping you. Like that's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely helped. Just psychedelic use in general, whether that's, like I said, ketamine, acid, mushrooms, because it allows you. So I don't know the actual science words behind it, but pretty much how it works is that psychedelics shut off a portion in your brain that produces fear, and not the fear of like, I'm going to go jump off a bridge, but the fear of past experiences, or the fear of, being able to talk to my significant other about something. It just kind of allows you to put your guard down. And then let you feel those emotions and just process them in a different way than you would before. So when I went to Day Trip, which is this ketamine therapy place, they told me the way that ketamine, the way to explain it is that, say we drive down the highway every single day. Ketamine creates new pathways for your brain. So if you're driving down a highway and you see a dirt road, you never saw it before, maybe this next time you might see that dirt road and want to take it. Like it just allows you to see things from a different perspective.
Got it.
And so, where was I going with this? I'm losing my train of thought. That is kind of how it works. So when I go there, it kind of just relaxes you in this setting that you can see things from a different perspective. So I haven't had, thankfully, any military, trauma in terms of like blowing up or friends passing away, some suicide, like I've had friends do that, but mine is more of like my past family. My dad had addictions and my parents got divorced and stuff like that, and then
Which at a younger age, I mean,
at
that
a younger
just bottles.
age. Yeah, like middle school, and why things happened as a kid. And then when I first joined the military, I had a really, really abusive relationship, like mentally, physically, emotionally.
Okay.
And so that was kind of a big thing that
you were holding on to.
I was holding on to for a really long time, and it wasn't necessarily the situation. I've kind of accepted that, but it was why I am the way that I am now because of these past experiences. Yeah. And I found that that's really what's allowed me to kind of want to dive into this stuff a little bit more, because I noticed the more that I've been taking it, or when I do take it, it's allowed me to understand, like, oh, like I react like this because of a situation like that happened. How can I fix that?
Okay. Which is huge. I mean, because you're not going to do that. I'm torn because obviously being religious and like psychedelics, they don't cross paths.
I'm born and raised in a very Christian household.
My dad's a pastor.
Yeah.
I'm a pastor's kid. I fell out of it. The military pulled me away from all religions.
I would say mine
right?
too.
Like,
yeah.
I saw true evil. I saw just shit, right? And to me, when I was young, I'm just like, okay, if there's a God, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why has he allowed this to happen? Like, obviously now that I've matured and I'm back into Christianity and I'm on this new journey and it's been awesome and I'm super stoked about it. But at the same time, I have some shit, right? Like that I need to face.
Yeah.
So that's where my wife is like anti, because she's like, you just need to pray and you talk to God and, lay it all out there and give it to him. And at the same time, I haven't fully, and I'm sure you growing up in a Christian household,
my mom had this conversation with me because I've especially over this past year, I've been a lot more open about my psychedelic use.
Okay.
And my mom especially is like,
oh, mine would die.
She's like, you're just opening yourself up to a different dimension almost where, demons or angels could get to you.
Exactly.
And I try to explain to her, like, yeah, it could get to that point, probably. Mm-hmm. It might get to that point to some people. But for me, it's, not taking it to that level. Yeah. It's keeping with it in a range where it's helpful and not harmful.
Got it.
And keeping it in control, using it with medical professionals or using it the doses that I know that are okay for me, and just I don't have the interest of pushing past that. And people sometimes they get addicted to it, or they what would happen, or what would I see, or what would I feel if I just did a little bit more, and it continues to go down that path. So I think there definitely is times where it can really influence you in a bad way, and versus just
for sure
the little amount that you use to help you.
So your first clinic treatment, or your first treatment, we call it, right? You've obviously experienced it before, so you knew a little bit going into it. Like, how did it, when you sat down and they gave you the dosage, were you just like, okay, here we go? You went in super open-minded, obviously.
I was pretty nervous because I didn't really know what to expect, just because I've done it by myself, and I didn't know if it was going to be the same experience or more or less. So the first time was I'd say is mediocre. I was like, okay, I've kind of felt this before.
Yeah, nothing new.
Yeah, though. Nothing new, but that's because I've already done it. I feel like if it was someone who hasn't done it, it would probably feel maybe a little bit more intense, or just kind of.
What do you compare it to? For people that are not used to.
This is what I've been trying to explain to people. Have you ever been to Disneyland, Disney World, Universal Studios, and you're on that 3D ride?
Okay.
Like the Spider-Man ride, or like the Harry Potter rides, and you're like floating in it. You feel like you're in this movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it feels like. You kind of got this, like you're in a roller coaster kind of thing, or like floating in between, like right when you fall asleep, like that in between period where like you fall. It's kind of like you're floating in a dream. It's like a dreamlike stance, if that makes sense.
And are you reverting back to childhood trauma, to abusive relationship trauma? How does it work? Are you is it like afterward? Are you, because, and the reason I ask is one of my best friends, he's gone through some like horrible trauma, military trauma and stuff like that. And he ended up just eating a handful of shrooms one night and just tripped balls, ended up swimming across a river, ended up like on somebody else's property, like naked and shit. Hopefully he'll tell the story one day. But during that trip, and I was like, how many did you take? And he's like, this many.
That's probably a lot.
Yeah. Like, and I was like,
one is enough.
But on that, when he lost a bunch of guys on deployment, and he got to go back, say his goodbyes to them.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to their family. Like, he got to face all of it, and it like
kind of just close those doors.
And for me, like my trauma that I hold now is my brother dying. Like it's the worst shit I've ever gone through. Like our family, the fact that we've even gotten through it, like blows my mind.
Yeah.
But like my sister and I, like we don't joke about it, we talk about it, like we have some serious fucking trauma. Like to be there when like your brother or sister like take their last breath, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so I hold that, and I still like there's so much just I mean, that feeling. It's just like you can't. And so that's the reason like I want to experience this in a way, because I want to be able to face that, and I want to get that off my plate. So that's why I have like okay. So you've already done it before. Sorry, I'll get back on track. But your second one, do they up the dosage every time?
Yeah, so every time they up the dosage. And the next time it was the same thing, just a little bit more. And I don't go into it with like, I'm going to tackle this scenario. Okay. I feel like I've kind of gotten over the big problems, and now it's just kind of like connecting and just like little things for me. But you can go in there with like a plan, like, when I go into this trip or like mind state, like I want to try to work on this problem.
Is that the right way to do it though? Or you just go
there's a right or wrong.
Okay.
I think like if that's what you want, then, you can try to think about that. I personally think it's best to just go in there with an open mind.
And then wherever
just
it
sit
takes
there
you.
and just whatever it takes you, just like, I was going to say watch, listen. I don't really know. It's just kind of like abstract-y, like.
Are you just staring at the ceiling the whole time?
I have a blindfold like mask on that like you can open up your eyes so it's black, so you don't like get distracted from the stuff.
Yeah,
when it's all black, you can actually like see more picture-like stuff. I will say I've had way more visuals on mushrooms than I have ketamine.
Okay.
Like way more visuals on mushroom, where ketamine was more just like memories kind of popping up in my head and just kind of like some abstract thoughts, where mushrooms was like actual pictures.
Okay,
like,
you're seeing shit over again. Okay.
So my second time was a little bit of a higher dose, and I feel like it was kind of not like an out of body experience, but you feel like you're floating.
Okay.
Kind of, and then
that doesn't creep you out. Like I feel like I would just.
No, I don't. I've had one bad experience and one like experience, but I've had some really, really great experiences on it, and all the bad times is because I've taken too much.
Have you gone into a K-hole yet?
Well, that's what the ketamine therapy session is really, is you go into a K-hole.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what it's called. It's kind of just like knocks you out in a way. You're not like asleep. Like you can still like hear and things, but that's what it is.
Because you hear so many crazy things about like, oh man, I was in this K-hole for like forever. And
it does feel like a long time.
Okay.
Like it's 45 minutes and you're just kind of
like,
huh? Yeah, you're just kind of just chilling like this.
There's just somebody that's there.
It's like you're in a dream. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like you're in a dream. So, yeah, my second one was a lot more intense in terms of like pictures that flash back into my mind, and a little bit more visual and a little bit more like feeling like I was in a roller coaster.
Okay.
But yeah, all of the times I've pretty much used it have been really beneficial to me, to my relationship, Ricky and I have connected on a deeper level because we both took a Molly and just opened up about what we needed in a relationship, what we liked about each other, what we didn't like. And it's like, I can tell you hey, you're doing this wrong, and you're not like, oh, whoa, like, why are you attacking me? It's like, let's figure this out. Like, why do you feel this way? Like, you're just open to talking about things more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is huge, because I feel like most friendships end, most relationships end.
Nothing ends over communicating.
100%.
Always under communicating.
Under communicating.
And I'm a huge over communicator. I'd rather just people be the know.
And then it's laid out there. And so for people that have a hard time communicating, especially vets, dudes that are stubborn, we don't want to talk, we don't want to share our feelings and all that shit. That's where I really feel like with some of these guys that just cannot or refuse to open up, but they're open-minded. Because we've talked, we do surveys with these guys, and the majority of them are down. Like they're like, oh, we do it 100%. But at the same time, it's like.
Yeah.
Like
I think doing it like a medical route is probably a good way.
Sure.
They know. So the one thing I wish, like the ketamine sessions are more like internal, kind of by yourself. There's someone in there kind of watching you to make sure you're good. But it's more kind of just like an internal feeling. So sometimes I feel like that's a good way to start is like with something like that. Cause what Molly, for me, it makes me want to talk. And I feel like I'm at that point now where I want to sit down like with an actual therapist and like take some Molly and like talk about things.
Okay. If
that makes sense. Cause I've done all the internal therapy and have kind of forgiven stuff, but there's still some things I want to get off my chest or kind of talk about. So I feel like there's two different ways. There's either psychedelic therapy, where it's actual therapy while you're doing psychedelics, and then there's like a ketamine or like a mushroom trip, probably, where you just
lay
take
there
it, and
as
then
a
someone
veg-
watches you, and they're like, all right, go through your own battle kind of way.
And I mean, obviously, each have their own benefits to it. So this is interesting. I mean, I have so much research to do. So for a clinic like this, I mean, obviously you're going back for your third, and it's going to be even more. I mean, the dosage is going to be.
My last one was pretty heavy, I would say. Maybe a little nauseous afterwards, like coming out of it.
How long does that last?
Oh, you're kind of like fuzzy in the head a little bit.
Okay.
Like you're still able to function and everything.
And all your
probably
trips?
for about an hour. And then it just made me, I think I get car sick super easy. So I think it was the Uber driver on the way back to my hotel that I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but also you have ketamine flowing through your
it's
veins.
like an anesthetic. When you get out of a major surgery and you're knocked up with all this drugs, you kind of feel a little nauseous. It's the same way when you're coming out of it.
And they're usually like 45 minutes long?
Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
So.
And you're going back for your third on Tuesday.
Yep.
And that's your last one, and then
my last one for now. I don't think at this point I need any more in terms of other people's help. I feel like I'm pretty good about doing it.
See, so that's a big thing for me, because that's one of my questions. Like, is this something that I have to do regularly, or is this something that you feel that you can get to where you're mentally like, oh, cool, like I've faced a lot of
I don't think you need to do it regularly. I think like at first it might help to like do it something like the medical center where you go back, every couple weeks or once a month or something. But it gets to the point where, I don't know. I also do it by myself, so it's hard for me to want to like spend money to go somewhere when I'm like, I can just take this at my house and like go through my own stuff. But I think once you kind of get past some of this stuff, it's like, okay, the door is closed. Like you don't need to keep rehashing things. So it's not a continuous thing unless you have a bunch of things you need to get to, which you might.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's life
is
different. So overall, you would highly, it's helped you quite a bit then on.
Yeah. I would say all psychedelics in general.
Really?
Yeah.
There hasn't been any that you're like, I'll stay absolutely away from?
Okay.
I feel like ecstasy or Molly, it's not even ecstasy.
The only
anymore.
ones that I've done is LSD or acid, the same thing.
Yep.
Molly, ecstasy, MDMA, kind of all of the same thing. And then mushrooms and ketamine in terms of psychedelics. So when you get into stuff like ayahuasca or salvia, I've heard like insane stories. I don't think I'll ever try anything other than what I've already done. Like every story I've heard is nuts.
Yeah.
On like ayahuasca and all these things. So the ones that I've done, if used in a good dose and controlled environment in a place that you're comfortable with, and the right doses, then it can be beneficial.
So you would highly recommend this to men and women that have, take the military side, just trauma in general, or got some demons to face and things to clear off their plate to make their life better. You would recommend?
Yeah, I would. I think it's really helped me. Like I just feel like I am more open. I see things from a different perspective now, whether that's trauma or just people telling me their opinions. Like I feel less angry.
See, that's
and I feel like growing up, I was a very angry kid. Just lash out, very sarcastic and very mean. And I feel like now, and this always kind of also ties into the fact that I've like rekindled my relationship with God and going back to church. And
good.
Ricky and I are doing that together and have a good foundation with that. So I think with those together, now I'm just feeling like a lot more loving and caring, and I understand like everybody goes through shit. And so like my goal is just hopefully I'm not that person that people leave and like, damn, that person was such a bitch. Like I want people to be, or me to be known as like, wow, she was just so loving and kind. Like, so I feel like it's helped me overcome, just being angry and mad and like pissed off at all the things that have happened in my life. Yeah. And just attack mode all the time. Like someone says something to me and I'm just like, why are you attacking me? Like I've kind of gotten over that now.
That's good.
So
I
think it's helped like my mental health and just be happier, and like shit happened. Yeah. But like, look at where I'm at now, and how can I do that to be better and to make the people around me better? So.
And has that helped you business wise, like personal life wise? Because obviously you got a lot going on now and competing. Are you competing anytime soon?
August.
So
Yep.
Yeah, Christy thinks my oldest. Yeah. The first time she's like, "What in the hell is it?" Because we're gonna change subjects a little bit, but God, I could probably go about the ketamine thing. I want to get those people on. I would love to talk to somebody down at the clinic.
Yeah.
And have them on possibly, awesome. Or see how we can maybe host something for.
Because they know like a lot of the science behind it too. I only know a little bit and what I've read and kind of what they've told me. And I know how it helps, but they can go into like the actual, and everybody I met that have done it has just been so like loving. They like I have learned to enjoy the process of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that's like really made me happy about it. I kind of get teared up about it because like it's just crazy, like from where I was and how angry I was and what happened to like where I am now, and how open and loving just.
What's a big
thing? You know what I mean? Like, and so if people that I know that have these crazy pasts that are way worse than mine, like I didn't see anything in the military in terms of bad that like, you know, can hopefully, but you have to want to change.
But we're obviously, this podcast is super military heavy, because obviously me being a vet and that's just who I'm connected with, but it's not military driven. But like, it's crazy for me because we talk to so many of these guys, and like I was saying, like my worst trauma that I have on my plate is my brother. It has nothing to do with the military.
Yeah, mine was an old relationship and stuff growing up. So nothing to do with the military. I mean, it was in the military when it happened, but nothing from the military.
Yeah. So I don't want people to think they just have to be military in order to clear anything off. But I mean, I can relate to so many of them because we help and deal with so many problems and things that they're going through in their life at the time. When it's like, and we get to like a stalemate sometimes with some guys where we're just like, fuck, like how do we help this guy?
And I've done all of it. You know, I've done the medication, I've done PTSD medication, I've done depression, I've done anxiety, I've done actual therapy. Like I've tried it all before this. It wasn't like my first resort.
But and here's the thing to me that I want to throw out there is like, I just went to the VA a few weeks ago. I went back and had to do some more claims and all that crap. And they said, you know, the typical VA, like, oh, how do you sleep? And I'm like, okay, I stare at the ceiling all night, like, whatever. These are all my issues. I don't sleep, but whatever. Well, and they're like, okay, on your way out, go by the pharmacy and we have your prescription for it. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And they're just bags of pills. Bags of pills.
Yeah.
And I come home and I put them on the counter. And the wife looks at me like, what is this? And I'm like, I have the VA. She starts dumping them out. It's like, oh, this one has some of the side effects, suicidal tendencies, nauseous, doesn't sleep, like, and then it's like, oh, now I have to take this pill to counter the side effects of this pill. One. But then this one has side effects.
Mushrooms are natural too, so like that's another thing that I get into.
Like, how many veterans' lives do you think would be saved if we adopted weed, like even edibles? Imagine if the VA just shipped you. I have a buddy in Texas that has a tote, like a bin full of like Dilaudid, morphine, because he was paralyzed.
Just giving it to him.
And he refuses to take it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I ended up getting him on weed years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I took this dude on a trip, and I went into his room in the morning to make sure he was up and see if he needed help with anything because he's wheelchair bound. And I'll never forget this. He had 14 pill bottles all lined up with the caps in front of each bottle, and there was I get goosebumps. Multiple pills in each cap, and I was like, "Bro, what?" And he's like,
smokes.
"Breakfast of Champions," and he's like just downing all these pills.
That's crazy.
Like, that's not helping him.
No,
there's no way that is benefiting these men and women that are getting dependent. And at least he was in the right mindset once he got turned on the weed. Like, he just hits a pen now, and he's like, dude, I'm good.
Yeah.
I just cruise through the day. But the VA, he's just on they just have him on a prescription. Yeah. So he gets these boxes sent to him. Why can't we just ship men and women joints?
Yeah, I think
some flour.
Like I mean, everything's okay in moderation, and that could even be 100%. Like antidepressants. Like at some point, I did use it. It helped me for a little, but then.
But I feel that a lot of guys don't know what they're taking, and then they become dependent on it, and then your body. Because I'm one of those people. Like my body will get used to something so quick, and so I'm always so I'm always chasing stuff. And I got into a real bad cycle of like before I even found edibles and all this other stuff, like with alcohol, pills, just to put me to sleep, but nothing would keep me to sleep, right? Then the VA's like, here's all these pills, and I was like, absolutely not. That's when I was like, okay, I gotta clear something. That's when I really started looking into more of, like the CBNs and stuff, and like inside of the different strands and weed and things like that. But why can't we just give and prescribe, or the VA has these types of things? How many lives would be saved overnight if that was an option for them?
To play the devil's advocate, though, then you have to start to, at what point is okay and how do they test for it, and, who's going to start abusing it? Are you going to have more problems than what you would without having it? Because you've got kids in the military that are trafficking people from Mexico.
100%. No, there's a guy when I was in back in 2004.
Like all sorts of stuff. Like, so that's the only thing I can see the devil's advocate is like, how do you know, like if they say don't drink and come to work, okay, you can kind of tell when someone's, or you can piss test them. You can't do that to weed. It's in your system for 30 days. So, and then at what point is it okay or not okay, or are people doing their job, or are they on drugs? So, but I think, in certain circumstances it can definitely help. Yeah. So, and I wish they would start to at least throw the idea around of how can we do this and still make the military functional.
Absolutely. So. Well, I'm just talking veteran wise.
Yeah. Or vets too, 100%.
Yeah, I can see. I'm not going to turn a bunch of pilots and Marines out and give them a bunch of weed and fucking ketamine and tell them I mean, if they were going to war, like, dude, good luck, boys. Like, you're going to use this in Vietnam shit. But I'm talking VA. Like, I'm talking, just, and you get to try out different strands, or you get to pick something. I mean, think about.
I think since I've smoked weed, like, I've been so much just more chill. And I have really bad anxiety. At first, I would say it kind of gave me anxiety. But when I kind of just accepted it, like, all right, I might, like, just be a little more chill right now. It kind of just relaxed me. And I feel like I'm just so, like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Everything's just better. It's not that big of a deal.
I would much rather either eat edible or smoke rather than drink.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, then you start getting into the whole bodybuilding stuff. Alcohol is a poison to your body, and your body has to kick off that first before it starts burning calories. So that's another reason why. I'll drink on occasion for friends and family's birthdays.
Because you're big into the fitness scene.
Yes, I would say so.
You want to get in? How much time we got? We got an hour. We can jump into that.
I'm good all day. I got plans after this.
Because you're a trainer now.
Yes. So trainer at the Mecca gym. My first show, so I've always been into sports. I mean, since high school.
It was an easy transition.
Yeah, it's easy transition. And then I did my first show in Guam. It was a bikini competition, and it was like 6 weeks. I was like the only fit person in my squadron. You know what I mean? I was the only female. And they're like, you should do this. You looks like you would be great at it. And I was like, I'm not about to get tanned up and put on these sparkly stuff and makeup. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I eventually just kind of gave in. I was like, I might as well just do it. Like,
because Ricky's the size of a fucking gorilla.
Well, yeah, but this is like way before I met him.
Okay.
So that was when I was in the military in Guam. They had a show.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, I went and deployed and a bunch of shit that I couldn't prep for. So I just wanted to get jacked, and then I kind of started looking into it more, and then I decided that I wanted to do it. I had some friends that competed, and that interested me, and then I got into competing, and then we moved to Idaho, and I started training, and then Ricky's into it as well. So,
dude, it's ginormous.
I know. I was looking at old pictures. So we're sponsored by this company called Free Spirit. It's a clothing company, and we went to White Sands, New Mexico, to do like a photo shoot or whatever. And I was looking at his old pictures because they're on the website, and I was like, "This doesn't even look like you." Like, he was big back then.
Yeah.
But
he's ginormous.
Where is that right now?
He is ginormous.
He's huge.
Ginormous.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah. So that's where I was saying before. So our oldest, I remember the first time, because, when you have kids and a young teenager, they're very impressionable, right? Like, they're watching and seeing everything. And so obviously, I don't know how to say this without getting myself in trouble. There's women in that gym that I hope that God, my daughter, never wants to be like.
Yeah.
But in the world that we live in, those are the ones that are promoted, put on pedestals. Everybody, they get the attention, right? And so, but as a dad, I feel that I have to, it's like, you can't date him, and then you run off, the more you push, the more they're going to be interested in it. And so, I always try to do a really good job, and say with the wife with like, hey, like, just be happy with you. Like, there's not a number, there's not a weight, there's not a size. It's just whatever you're happy and feel good with. And then I'll never forget the first time when she saw you, she was like, because her style is like kind of baggy clothes, big shirt. She wears my shirt.
This is literally what I wore to the gym today. I'm pretty sure.
And so and I was like, you should see her, what she actually looks like. And then she ended up, I don't know if we found your Instagram or something. Or no, you were working.
I followed her too on Instagram because all the sourdough stuff.
Yeah.
I know that, like, she always says hi to me in the gym. So I follow her.
Yeah, but she was one of those like, oh my God. I'm like, see, you can be like fierce and you can dominate and you can be like a sign for women of strength without having to pretty much show your asshole.
Yeah.
100%. So
100%.
It's nice. So what I'm trying to say is it's nice that there's women out there, especially like yourself and others in that gym, like that are like, okay, you don't need to put, and there's going to be times where you're, because you teach posing and
there's and I compete too. Like, there's definitely going to be some stuff on there, but
and I get it. And so, but at the same time, for like in the gym, like it's like, it's cool. I mean, obviously you're going to live your life and do whatever the fuck you want to do outside of the gym. But like, you know, some of them in there, like there's times where I'm in there, it is so awkward. I feel like I'm getting to that old dad stage now. Like I'm in there just like not giving a shit. And so like, you know, the calf machine. Yeah, I'm trying. Head up and dude, I just stare at the ground the whole time because I'm like, there's just the way so that funny. Women dress now. It is wild to me. But I'll go in there and that calf machine that goes on your back and you gotta looks into the posing area and I
tell him to switch that around because you walk out just straight into somebody's booty hole.
100%. I'm like just getting it adjusted and I get all comfortable and I look up and this girl is dead in front of me, like bent over and I'm like, and then I look around, I'm like, oh my God, I'm that guy. I'm 100%.
That's funny.
So I had to like move my whole workout to the other side of the gym. We got to do something in there about that.
We'll tell him.
That's a horrible, because you're like on your knee, on your elbows, like and there's nowhere else to look. So, but no, it's the gym world is one of the most fascinating. How I explain it to Chrissy, it's a real world dating app.
It really
is a gym. I was like, everybody is in some sort of trouble. Everybody is talking this. I'm like, it's the craziest shit. I couldn't even imagine being a trainer, and I know you can't talk about probably anything in there because
it's like a therapy session for some clients.
Oh, I bet. I want to hear some stories. I want something. There's got to be something in that gym, some juicy. Actually, we don't need to because we're both local and we work out there. So
there definitely is a lot of stuff, but to be honest, Ricky and I really don't get involved in any.
You can't.
We hear a lot, I'm sure, but it honestly goes one in.
I hear a lot.
First of all, it doesn't affect my life and what you're doing, whatever that may be. Like, how is it affecting me emotionally, physically, financially?
Yep.
If it's not doing any of those, then like I'm not gonna waste more. Like, come talk to me about all your problems. I don't really care. Like, I got my own shit to deal with. I'm trying to like climb a ladder here, and
for sure.
This stuff is not. I'm not involved in this, so we don't really hear much.
I gotta ask about a kid. I call him Blue Hat Kid or Blue Cap Kid.
I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe.
I don't know if he's a fan of me or obsessed with my daughter, but he's always
Blue Cap.
Oh, you'll know. I'll have to point him out.
If you point him out, because I feel like I know who you're talking about.
You will. He has to make it very known that he's
flowy hair.
Yes. All those kids do these days.
Yeah, you're right.
They all do, but yes, he does.
What time does he usually go? Like
the same. It doesn't matter.
Like 9,
whenever
10.
we are there, yes. Whenever.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
But every time Chrissy and I look up, he's eyes on. And she's like, Dad, he's staring at you. I'm like, he's staring at you. And she's like, no, I think he's a fan of you. Because there's been people that come up to me and I'm like, yo, I follow you on Instagram. Yeah. And she's always blown away by it because I'm just dad. And then people are like, yo, bam. And I'm just like.
It is funny how that is, like just with friends and stuff too.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, people actually look up to you sometimes. And I'm like, this is weird.
Weird,
I've
right?
had even people come up to me like at the Olympia or Arnold and be like, yo, I follow you on Instagram. And I'm like, that's just weird.
Isn't it? I don't know. I never get used to it. Actually, Chris and I, we were just in Arizona, and we're walking through. There's 100,000 people in this convention, and bam, and he turns around and I'm like, oh God, because I never know if it's good or bad, because there's love or hate with me.
Oh yeah, 100%. I know.
Half the people love me, half hate me. It is what it is. But I'm always like, all right, and I'm always prepared. Okay, are we gonna
worst
fight?
Case scenario.
Yeah, we're gonna fight right now. Because I've had it happen. Yo, you talked some shit one time, and I was like, I did. But dude, it's crazy how people will just. And then on top of it, they build an image of who they think you are off of social media. And then when they actually meet you, they're like, oh, you're actually not as cool in real life, or you're way cooler in real life because you're an asshole on social media or whatever it is. But no, the fitness world is a fascinating world. And I try to explain it to Christy that and don't take any offense to this.
Oh, you're good. I don't take things personally, honestly.
It's the most unhealthiest sport. Is the fitness world because of what 100%. People put themselves through, especially women. I mean, you guys lose your period when you're competing. Yep. I mean, your bodies are shutting down. I don't know if you run gear or not. I don't know if you're open to any time.
Yeah, I'm open. I have run gear.
Okay.
So
How's that affect? I mean,
good. There's definitely side effects to it. Mm-hmm. I would say I've always had a raspier voice, but it's probably gotten a little deeper over the years.
Okay.
Has it helped me in terms of muscle growth and whatnot? Yeah, especially in the category that I compete in.
Yeah. Which is what?
Figure.
Okay.
So there's bikini wellness, figure, and then physique bodybuilding. So it's a little bit more of a muscular look. So I think I like it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but I like me. It makes me feel stronger and better.
Oh, I miss it.
But you just have to weigh the pros and cons. And again, I don't ever want to jeopardize my femininity in the way that I look. And you have to only, at what point do you say no? And so that's when people have to find their own, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but they have to decide for themselves. At what point is certain side effects okay just to get a little bit more muscular or vice versa?
But I feel like the women, even men, the body dysmorphia thing is such a horrible, because they come into it with body dysmorphia, right? And then most people, especially young kids, this is why like I'm so against younger guys doing it.
I 100% agree.
And I was young when when I was cycling back in the Marine Corps days, it was stupid. I mean, absolutely stupid. But I was always, I had a really good mentor. He was this old, like, prison yard. This dude done some time, just plain white shirt, Dickie shorts, like you could just tell. And he kind of took me under his wing and was like, listen, like, and he broke it all down for me. But I see these kids these days, and they get on it, then they get the attention. Everybody in the gym knows who they are because they're pushing plates. And then the second you get off, you're automatically down 20 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
And then it's a mind fuck. And then they feel like in order to keep up with the Joneses, they jump back on. And then it's just a constant cycle. And then before you know it, I mean, you're just destroying your body. But with women, it's like, I mean, you look at these women that get, I mean, there's so much work done to them. But then when they get into the fitness side of things, then they're chasing it. Yeah. And then I feel a lot of them almost go way too far.
It definitely can be a bad habit and a bad addiction too.
Oh, for sure.
I think you have to learn, at least for myself, and I know, Ricky too, it's, I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Addiction.
You have to learn to trust the process and to understand that gear isn't.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool to help small things here and there, but you shouldn't be dependent on it. You have to enjoy the process of, like, I'm in peak off season right now. I'm just broke 170 pounds.
Oh, shit.
That's, like, a lot for, I don't know if guys know how, like, females weight. Usually when a guy says, like, 220, you can kind of picture what they look like. 170 pounds for me, that's the biggest I've ever weighed.
Yeah.
And, I may be a little uncomfortable right now, but I understand that it's a part of the process and enjoying it. So I feel like I've learned to kind of get over the body dysmorphia. Do I still have it sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't want to go out and stand in a bikini right now on a stage. Like, definitely don't want to do that, but I understand that it's all for another purpose. Like, I'm okay with it. Where a lot of young people will start just to get shredded or just to get the attention, and then they realize, like, okay, you actually have to grow. And, like, it's not healthy to stay that lean for a really long period of time. Like, you got to put some size back on you, and then they start to kind of be like, oh my gosh, I'm putting on weight. Like, it's bad.
It's a numbers thing.
I think it's just like a maturity thing too. Like, the longer you go into the sport and the more you surround yourself with actual people like that and mentors in it and good coaches and not just Joe Schmo off the street who's competed one time and says they're a coach.
Yeah.
You learn the actual sport and, like, learn to love the process of it and not just to get shredded and then take steroids and then get shredded and do all that.
I want to have Zach on and have him.
Oh, you should.
It'll probably be when I get back. He's just, I mean, he knows everything, and I mean, he's smart with it.
You should get him and Ricky and you on and do all three.
That would be great. Yeah. Yep.
So that would be a good one.
Because I want to get back on. I'm almost 40. I've been out of it for so long. I'm just getting, with the oldest, she's really got me back into that because she's on this fitness trainer. Thank you.
I tell my clients about you guys, honestly. I'm like, yeah, you see that girl? Like, she's only 15 years old, and they're like, dang, the way she walks, like, she's awesome. Every time I watch her, just, like, working out or just, like, listening, and Zach and Laura and I will talk about it too, but she just, like, wants to learn. You can, like, see it in her eyes and her face that she's just not that teenager that's, like,
oh no, she's very driven.
She's very, like, even if someone's a couple years older than her, she's, like, just wants to learn and listen and, like, is so invested in the thing. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, and I enjoy watching them work out because I just laugh the whole time, and I'm like, what the fuck you guys talk about? Are you guys even training? And she's just like, Dad, yeah, leave me. And then she, like, yesterday, she goes to grab something. She's like,
She's gonna be a beast, dude.
So she's got these goals, She wants to be an all-around, like, martial artist. But she wants to be like a stunt woman, not like fall out of windows, but like fighting, weapons, shooting. Like, she wants to do more like an adventure, active, or I don't even know the term for it. I guess.
I know what you're saying, though. At some point, I feel like I wanted to be a stunt double. Like,
right?
That's cool. Like, jumping out windows and doing cartwheels and
exactly.
I don't know.
But if you knew her,
she probably likes that.
She does. She gets a little taste of it, especially when she fights. I mean, for a kid that I couldn't even imagine being a child fighting for a sport.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I fought as a kid, but like, it wasn't like, okay, I prepared myself. It was like, oh shit, I'm in a fight, you know?
Yeah.
But for her, like, it blows my mind that she's like, okay, like we show up to these competitions and then there's other girls there that have 2-3-time world champs on their belts and on their back. And we're looking at them and she's just like this little color belt at the time. And I'm like, good luck, kid,
Yes,
you know, like
figure
it out. But then she just goes in there and crushes it. And so, you know, she really, I couldn't imagine. I tell her, both the kids, I'm like, you guys are so much cooler than I was at your age. Like
100%.
I wasn't going and fighting kids and like, then friends with them afterward. Like the fact that she does that and she can separate, like, okay, it's time, and she knows it. Like when she steps on that mat, like there's no friends.
Yeah.
She'll hug cool. And she does it, but then and there's a girl that we fight that they're friends with out of Vegas, and we've become really good friends with the family, and she's a little bit younger and they really look up to Chrissy. She's like a role model. There's a lot of cattiness and
I'm sure
and everything, right? Yeah. But with her, Chrissy just sticks to her own. She just stands. She's like a real world princess, is how we explain her to people. But that'll kick you in the face, you know, because she's always like, yes, hi, and she's so proper and everything's perfect all the time. But these girls, and she has had to fight these girls, and then like, hey, listen, like, and she's like, I know, Dad, I know, like, I got it. But when she steps into the ring, it's like,
that's
okay,
good though,
we're not friends.
To follow on with how she is older, like knowing there's a time and a place for things.
Everything.
And so
cool. But it's been cool, and so she's on this little fitness journey. You need to do a leg day with her or something. I've been
probably whoop my ass.
Yeah, right.
I hate training legs.
Her very first leg day was Zach.
I'll do one with her.
You should. I think it would be awesome.
Or Zach and I can train her and I together.
That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
Her very first workout was Zach. We pulled in the parking lot, and I look at her, I was like, hey, kid, listen.
You might puke.
It's okay if you throw up. She's like, what? But I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said anything. But I was like, listen, like, it's a completely natural thing. You're going to be pushing your body to different levels that you haven't pushed before. So leave it all in the gym. Zach's going to break you off on a different level, but he's going to do it the right way and blah, blah, blah. I gave her this whole little spiel, and she's like, okay, I'm good. So they finished their workout, and I text her. I'm like, hey, I'm ready. And she's like, I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, okay. And she's in there for a while. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, let's go. She comes out, and she's like white, like just pale. And she comes out of the bathroom. She just walks the edge, you know, the gym, and just blows through the front door. And the second the air hit her, she's like,
oh, I'm sure.
We all know this feeling. And I'm like, you good? And she does the, she didn't want to talk. I was like, are you nauseous? And she's like,
please don't say anything right now. Please don't say anything.
I was like, what are you going to throw up? As soon as I say it,
she pukes.
And her problem was she didn't know like to sip, but she was like chugging her BCAAs
water.
And water the whole time.
Zach always has to remind me, he's like, small sips. Sips. Because I'll just sit there and chug it like
that's her. And she didn't know, and she just loses it. And I couldn't tell you the last time I legit like belly laughed, couldn't breathe. I was bent over, and she didn't know it. Exorcist right out the front door.
Zach workouts can be hard,
but they're not like this crazy intense workout.
No, he just knows how to push you to your limits. Like
yeah.
And even then, sometimes I'm like, could I have gone harder? I didn't actually puke. Like, maybe I need to puke.
Well, so, you know, being a 15-year-old girl in the gym, and people are already watching, she's training with Zach. So, you know, so she's mortified. And so I'm like, she's like taking her shoes off. I'm like, get in the truck. Like, get your shoes off. And she puked all over her shoes. Oh, no. And I sit her in the truck. I was like, hey, listen, like, that's a rite of passage.
Hell
like,
yeah.
I was like, in the fitness world, it's kind of a flex because you can't talk shit on somebody. I don't care if you're 400 pounds or 180 pounds.
They're getting it.
You're getting it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are.
So as soon as I explained it to her, I'm like, all these trophy wives that are on the treadmill that don't even break a sweat and their hair's perfect the whole entire time. Like they've never experienced and felt what you just went through.
Yeah.
I was like, but now you just raised your suck level to the next bar, and I was like, now you know what your body can handle.
Progression, though. You just keep pushing yourself until you can't, and then you push yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. But she 100% has PTSD whenever Zach's like, hey, it's leg day. And I'm like, hey, you got leg tomorrow.
I always do legs with him because I just can't push myself anymore to the point that he can't, but it freaks me out every time. I'm like, crap. Yep. After one exercise, I'm like, and we've got like 4 more to go.
And you'll ever doing core on leg day.
I will yell at him and curse at him and be like, why the fuck are you doing this? This hurts so bad.
See, she does it. she's not at that stage yet.
Yeah.
She just yes sirs and just goes at it, and I feel bad for her,
awesome,
but
though.
yeah, it's been fun to watch. So, well, cool, dude. I appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about some of your trips. So overall, I'll wrap it up. What would you recommend for anybody, vet or not? Where would you start? Like, what would be your key takeaway out of the things that you've experienced? Where would you start? Like, to want to hash out, face some trauma, face some demons. What would be your best recommendation to start out, and where to go?
Best and safest, I think, too.
Yes,
Like, yeah, I
absolutely.
could tell you to just go take some shrooms and have, you know, let loose, you know, but I don't think that's going to be the safest route.
No.
So, honestly, I don't really know of a lot of places that do this other than the place that I went to.
Which was what again?
Day Trip Health and Wellness in Phoenix, Arizona. It's DAYTRYP. I know psychedelics and psychedelic therapy in general is a very taboo topic, and so it's not, you can't really find it in any states, you know what I mean, that's legal. So Arizona, I think Arizona, maybe Colorado, I could be wrong, but are one of the first couple of states that are starting to allow those things.
Got it.
You know, and I think doing it in a medical facility with someone who's experienced in it, like they're always going to start you off with a low dose, so you're not, you know, just it's from 0 to 100. Like you,
not
it's
just
like regular therapy. You know what I mean? Like you don't go to your therapy the first time and unleash everything, and you're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, and walk out. Like the first time they're going to test it out a little bit, be like, all right, what are his triggers? Like, is he good?
Yep.
And then you just continue to go. So I think ketamine in a medical facility is a good place to start. And then from there, kind of just, I mean, nothing's really legal right now. So it's hard to say, like, yeah, go take some Molly. I mean, I think Molly's great in a certain setting. Like I take it at our house and it provides really good conversations and to process things. I've also taken shrooms at my house. It's been really good. But for people who aren't experienced, that's where it can get tricky because they don't know enough and they're not educated enough. And I feel like that's where it all comes down is people just aren't educated enough on it and how to use it and how to go about it. And so that's where it gets sticky. So,
Got it.
I mean, the ketamine treatment in Arizona, I like them. I don't have anything bad to say about them. I probably won't go back just because the first ones I got were for free and it's kind of expensive. It's like $700 a session or something like that. I'm sure they have like package deals and whatnot, but I don't think at my point in life I need to pay $700.
But for somebody that's never experienced it before,
I think it would probably be beneficial.
Okay.
And what's the worst case? If you've tried everything already and you go and say it's just not for you, okay, you're out $700, but at least you tried something that's going to help your mental health potentially, or potentially has the benefit to help you. So.
Got it. Well, cool.
I would do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like just psychedelics and that kind of stuff anyways. Like it's just really changed me as a person in such a good way. Yeah. People see that like, well, I don't want to change. I want to stay how I am. And I'm like, bro, like the only way you can change is if you want to change. And all of us have got shit to work on.
And change is so good for you too.
Yeah, it is. And people just get so scared to hold on to I don't want to change. I don't want to be who I am because they don't know.
Yep.
You know, you don't know what's.
See, I want to change.
Yeah.
I'm changing. I'm in that process. So and it's been awesome. It's been great.
It's been great for me
great
too.
For
like
my relationship, great with my kids. Like it's.
So tell your wife to go.
Yeah, she's not about it. So.
I mean, but if it's in a medical facility,
still,
and
it's the whole religion. It's the whole religious aspect to it.
My dad's a little bit more open to it, but I'm sure my family probably thinks like I'm just out here willy-nilly drugs, but
oh yeah, that's how mine are so old school.
No, that's what they think. That's what I grew up in. If you are gonna smoke weed, you're gonna be homeless and living in a van on the side of the road. Like if you thought about weed, that's what it was gonna be. And now my mom smokes, and now my dad smokes.
See, I wish I can get mine too. They're just so.
We haven't smoked together. It's kind of just weird. Like I'm gonna go smoke with my mom.
Yeah.
Just because I grew up in a very strict household. So, but I think all that stuff is good in moderation. Like it's definitely helped me. I know it's helped Ricky. I know a bunch of other friends that it's really helped them. So
good.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Do it.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.